Welcome back to the Hide Your Mom's podcast. I am your host. Sounds pretty stupid when you intro yourself like that. I'm Spencer Nolan. I've been doing this podcast for a little bit over a year, and we're back with another episode. And we've had a break. I recorded one, I think about a week, maybe a week and a half ago, and the audio file corrupted, so that one never went out. So to you guys, it looks like it's been forever since we've had a podcast. Well, there was one made and it just didn't get out. But anyway, we're back now, and I'm hoping this one works. If you see this, then everything went well. If you don't, then obviously that's another whole nother problem. It is a good day. It is Tuesday. There is a problem. I have two canker sores. I have one canker sore that is halfway down my throat. Gross, right? And then I have another canker sore right here in the front. And I'm pretty sure I've had a podcast episode talking about canker sores. So I'm not even going to get into it. But just to let you guys know, if I sound different or if I sound like I'm wincing in fucking pain, it's because I have two ulcers in my damn mouth. Matter of fact, let me get a drink real quick. Let's lube these bitches up, huh? Was that ASMR for you guys? Anyway, we're back. I have no idea what episode I'm on, and I don't even think you guys care what episode I'm on, to be honest with you. Maybe you do, I don't know. Been having a little bit of imposter syndrome recently. I don't know if you guys don't know what imposter syndrome is. It means like you don't think you deserve what you have. I don't know why I have that. I don't know where that really even came from. That's kind of just what I'm feeling right now. I don't know. It's weird. I don't mean to get on here and like be sad and moody, because I'm not sad. That's not it. I just feel sometimes like that. Isn't that a crazy one? I don't even know what I feel. I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like I am too blessed, but then sometimes I feel like I'm not too blessed, and like, why haven't I been gifted so much more? How about I just chill out because I'm right where I'm supposed to be? I heard a quote the other day that said, the path that you're on, if you feel like there's no end to the path, or you feel like you don't know where you're going, or you don't know how it'll work out, that means you're on the right path. But if you feel like you don't know where the destination is, then you're on the right path. Just keep going and it'll all work out. So I really like that. I like that. Now it's a little bit scary if you don't do well with uncertainty, or, oh, I like that word, uncertainty. Did I say that right? Is there another vowel in there? What even are the vowels? Vowels. Oh my gosh, hold on. I can do this. What are the vowels in the alphabet? I want to say BC, but that's obviously A, B, C, D. That's not the vowels. A, I, O, U. Sometimes Y. There's no way there's only four vowels. A, I, O, U. Am I out of my mind? Four cannot be enough. There has to be five. Sometimes Y, so like 4.5. That's like saying you have four fingers and a thumb. It's like the Y's sometimes there. S isn't a vowel, is it? Bro, I got to go back to phonics. You guys remember in phonics? And if you didn't have this, you don't know what I'm going to talk about. But if you guys remember in phonics when you had to put like the two dots over the vowels, or like the line over the vowel to make sure it was like, instead of like if you had moss, that's like a soft O. And then if you had a, whatever, dude, I'm not going to teach phonics on this damn podcast. What a boring start to this podcast, dude. It's been a while, all right? So let me hop into it, and let me kind of just bring you guys back to what I've been doing, where I've been. I'm sure a lot of you guys can kind of piece together what I've been doing, but probably what you guys know is from short form videos or short form Snapchats or something like that. So bring it into a long form video, you get to really know what I've been doing. So that'll be good. Let me bring you in. The last podcast you saw was probably from the cruise, I think. There was maybe one after that. But what I do know is that we had to stop the podcast. The reason we took a hiatus, and we were going so good. I mean, we had like 9 or 10 weeks in a row, podcast every week. But the reason we had to stop the podcast is because Spincy got so busy. I was not expecting Spincy to blow up like it did. Obviously, extremely grateful. But when I was having to hire employees and work on the back end of Spincy, like Spincy is, I said this in a video the other day, Spincy is, what you guys see of Spincy is, I'll give it 3%. You guys see 3% of Spincy. Drop days when you click on the site and then you see everything. That's great. That's my favorite part of Spincy. But 97% of the work is done on the back end. I don't even want to go through and list everything that's done on the back end because it'd just be boring and whatever, monotonous. Oh my gosh, I'm turning into a big word freaking hero. This is awesome. I've never used that word in a sentence in my life. Dude, I'm reading books, man. That's what it is. I'm reading a book every little bit, not often, but I'm reading books and they use big words in those books. And so I'm thankful for that. Back to what I was saying. Spincy on the back end is monotonous, so it takes a lot of time and not necessarily hard, but it's something you just have to continue to show up in and like continue to do because it's just work that needs to be done. You guys see 3%. We had multiple drops. I mean, it was a number of like 6 drops in 5 months or something like that. Maybe 7 drops in 5. I don't even know what it was. It was nuts. We were doing 2 drops a month sometimes. And the reason we had to work so hard then is because month January through month, I think we had our drop at the beginning of May, our first one of the year, was all back end work and running into so many issues. And so we didn't get a dropout for like 4 months. So that was a really, really big problem. We're not going to have this problem anymore. So 2026 should be a lot more professional, a lot better. We have more employees, so that helps a lot. And yeah, that's kind of just where we're at right now. We are still, I don't know if I want to say Spincy is like booming, but Spincy's definitely doing better than I expected, I think. I think that's the right word to say. Yeah, I think that's right. So we've been doing that. And then obviously, maybe you guys know, maybe you don't know, but my Uncle Ed passed away. And it was actually funny because the podcast that I recorded that didn't get uploaded, he had not passed away yet. And so I was in a whole different mindset and I was in a whole different, I don't even know. Yeah, I guess a state of mind. I was in just a different thought process about the whole thing. He has now passed. It was one of the hardest things I've ever seen my family go through. I don't want anybody to see family go through that. And it might sound, maybe you're not close with your uncle, so it's not hitting you as hard, but my dad wasn't in my life that much growing up. He wasn't. And so my Uncle Ed taught me a lot of the things that young men need to be taught. So I looked at him as a parental figure. I also looked at him in a weird way as like, wow, he treated my mom really good. I know they're brother and sister, but just seeing a man treat your mother really good in any aspect is really cool. And so that helped me learn about that. And so he's a big part of my life. You know what I mean? And it's tough. I'm obviously sounding upbeat and good now, and that's truly just because life goes on and I can't control it. You get 2 choices when it comes to death, truly. You really get 2 choices. And I would say it starts after the funeral is over and you kind of go back to your original life. Because don't get me wrong, I shut my life off completely, basically for 2 weeks. I had an emergency flight 2 weeks ago on a Monday. My mom calls me. I get this sad call. Actually, it's from my brother. And he had just seen my Uncle Ed in the hospital. And I mean, I don't even want to explain the way he was looking because it might be too vulgar, but it wasn't good. It wasn't good. It's like you almost think, how can a human body look like that and still be breathing? Now, I know that's probably heavy, but that's just the way it was, and I'm trying to be very transparent. So my brother goes and sees that. My family's all at the hospital, and I'm just waiting for the call, right? I'll hop on a flight anytime. Family over everything, family first. I love my family. They've done so much for me. They support me, blah, 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 blah. You know the gist about family. My family, at least. Maybe you don't. But I love them. And so I was waiting for the call. I got the call to hop on a flight. I got that call at about 1 o'clock. My flight was at 3. 2 hours later, got it right away, head home. Bam, I'm there at 9, go straight to the hospital, get to see him. At this point, he's able to talk a little bit. He's a little bit confused, but he's able to talk a little bit. So I was able to see him. I was able to talk to him. And then the next day, that Tuesday, we went back and we stayed at the hospital, and we were in the hospital waiting room all day. And I was able to talk to him and see him. And luckily, when my grandma passed, now this is kind of weird, but she was going in kind of for a routine surgery. She was 80, granted, but she was going in for a routine surgery. And so when I left I saw her in the hospital room. I drove back from college at that time to see my grandma. This was 2023, January 2023. So I don't know, coming up on 3 years ago. And I saw her and I was talking to her and told her I loved her and all that stuff. But when I was leaving the hospital room, now this actually might be some good advice. When I was leaving the hospital room, I said I loved her and, ended the conversation and left the hospital room. Well, in my mind, that wasn't going to be the last time I saw her. And what I realized is when somebody is in the hospital, okay, with any type of anything, this is a very hard thing to understand, but it's something that I think that if you accept it and go about it this way, it makes sense. When I was leaving the hospital room, it didn't trigger in my mind that was going to be the last time I talked to my grandma. So I learned from that. I've been dealing with that for 2 years of like, gosh, I just wish I knew that was the last time. I just wish I knew. I'm thankful that I was able to be there and tell her I loved her, but I just wish I knew it was the last time. And so when going to see my Uncle Ed that Monday and Tuesday, Monday night, I said everything I needed to be said, and I got the answers that I needed from him. And so I left Monday night being like, okay, if he passes overnight, I'm okay with what was said. I'm not okay with him passing, but I'm okay. I came to the realization, I don't know, it's like a trigger in your brain that it's like, that's fine in a way. Like you got that I love you. It just triggered in your brain that was going to be the last time you saw him. So you're better to cope with it. The coping thing is a little bit better afterwards. Well, luckily, I got to see him Tuesday night. And so that Tuesday, I talked to him a bunch more and got a lot more out. And again, got to the final point where I was like, okay, I think this is good. But what I try to do is, especially in these hard situations when you cannot control anything, cancer is something you can't control. It's so weird. But what I try to do is I try to control what I can control. And I was sitting in the room with him for about 15 to 20 minutes. And I was like, okay, we've had good conversations. But he had been asking my mom for a Diet Coke. My mom went to get the Diet Coke, but I think she had forgot or something. So she was in the waiting room. So I was like, you know what I can control? I can control getting him that Diet Coke that he wants. And I can do one more thing for him. I've obviously tried my best with raising the $20,000 for Spency or from Spency and then giving it to him. I controlled that part. I can only control the money aspect. I couldn't control saving his life or anything. Money definitely doesn't save your life. Let me tell you that. So I go out there, and as I'm leaving, I said, hey, Uncle Ed, I'm going to go get your Diet Coke. And he's kind of like grumbling and stuff. And he says, what? How are you going to do that? Or what? Well, Spencer, what are you going to do? Kind of giving me some shit. And I said, well, I'm going to get your Diet Coke. And he said, okay, I love you, Spencer. And my hand's on the door handle of the hospital room, about to open it. And I look back and I said, I love you, Uncle Ed. He said, okay, be careful. He was kind of foggy and stuff, but it was just funny. He would come in and out of his fogness. He said, be careful, Spencer. I love you. Again, so I got 2 I love yous and a be careful. And I don't know what that be careful really meant. I don't know if he was completely there when he said the be careful part, but maybe it rings true, and I'm going to let it ring true. And I said right before, again, after he said his second I love you, I said, all right, I love you, Uncle Ed. And then I left. And then I went, got the Diet Coke. My mom took the Diet Coke into him. He got his Diet Coke. And so that was something that I could control. And it might sound like something super small, super minuscule that doesn't matter. To me, it mattered a lot because I was able to put something in my hands. And I don't know if this is me. I don't know if it's a man thing. I don't know if maybe it's just a human thing, but we like to be in control. We like to have control of future destinies. I think that's just rings true for all humans, no matter what. Obviously, you don't want to be a control freak, but you want to have the power to be able to control something. And so that's what I did with that Diet Coke thing. I was like, Mom, you got to get him his Diet Coke. And she went in there, got his Diet Coke. And that to me was a lot to me. And I came to terms with that was probably going to be the last time I ever saw him, just based on the conditions that he was in at this point. It just took a complete 180. It was insane. So they get him on hospice. They take him home Wednesday. He gets home. He's settled in his house. He lives out in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, and they propped him in front of the window. The window looks out down this hill of his property where he lives, and he got to stay out there. And Thursday night, we got the call. Luckily, I was surrounded by friends, and we got the call, or I actually got a text that he was gone. And it rocked my world because it was something that attacked so viciously fast. And I'm not trying to make this podcast sad. I'm truly not. I'm just trying to catch you guys up on kind of what I've been going through. And opening up about it on here in a weird way helps me cope, because when somebody passes, I don't think people understand it, but you're kind of going to be coping for the rest of your life in your own small ways that your foreconscious, like your front conscious, everything that you say, won't even notice. Your subconscious will be doing it for your own brain and for your own safety. So you're going to be coping forever, and this is one way that I really do cope. So he passes, and obviously our worlds are shocked. It's really weird because he got this diagnosis in July 21st, I think it was. And it was stage 4 pancreatic cancer. If people respond to chemo well, they can usually live maximum, once you have this, you can live up to 5 years. His was extremely vicious. We had really no chance, no matter what. We tried to do what we could, but it was basically just too late. And the weird thing is like, he didn't start feeling symptoms of like maybe a ache, and he's a tough guy, right? So I just recommend maybe talking to your parents about getting checked, just routinely checked if they haven't been to the hospital in a while. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to prevent something that maybe could be prevented. I don't know if it could have been prevented. We'll never know if it could have been prevented. But beginning of June, he was fine. Maybe towards the end of the June, he started to have some tummy aches and was like, oh, my stomach doesn't feel that well. But even by then, if he would have went into the hospital 3 weeks, it took him about 3 weeks to go to the hospital. He's a tough man from Kansas, worked on a farm a lot of his life. You know, he's just not going to go to the hospital. He doesn't want to go to the ER, doesn't want to go, and he doesn't want to talk to a doctor. That's just the kind of man he was. I don't blame him. I'm kind of the same way. And so he was fine at the beginning of June, and then we get it starts, and he basically all of June, and it really starts to kind of bother him maybe July 4th, July 5th, but he was still kind of fine then too. It wasn't like really like I need to go to the hospital, kind of just like aches and pains. And then he goes and gets the check on like July 19th or July 20th, and then we for sure find out July 21st. And from July 21st to, oh gosh, when did he pass? I don't want to be wrong, but he passed August 28th. So found out July 21st, passed away August 28th. Was fine. And we didn't find out or didn't have any problems until the beginning of July. So that's how fast life can turn. That's how fast time is not on your favor. That's how fast things can change. And what I learned from it is every day is purely a gift, and you have no idea. You have no idea when your last day is going to be. So I am being fueled by almost gratitude. I think this energy that's coming out of my voice is almost gratitude of still being able to wake up every day and be here, because I just saw what could have happened. And it's unbelievably sad, but it is what it is. It comes down to, it is what it is. I cannot control that. I shut my life off for 2 weeks. Okay. I completely turned my life off for 2 weeks, and I did whatever I wanted to do. I was around family. I ate whatever I want. I didn't work out. I maybe worked 5% of what I usually work. And so I had done nothing, and I was just enjoying my family time. And that's just what I was doing. And but once that's over, okay, we got to the funeral, and once that's over, back to what I was saying, you have two choices. You keep going, using this as motivation, using this as a new way to look at life, or you stop, you get angry at life, you let that anger boil down onto you, changes who you are, you get in a shell, and you can't handle it. While you get in that shell and do nothing, life continues to go on for everyone else. It's pretty easy to choose this one, in my opinion. It might be tougher, But at the end of the day, it's not. Because at the end of the day, this one where you're in your shell and you're cocooning and you let these things that happen to you in life boil down on you and shut you down, shut you off, turn your brain off, turn your feelings, your emotions off. No bueno, dude. This is state property. That viral TikTok sound. But basically what I'm saying is you have a choice, and you need to make the choice that keeps you going. It's as simple as that. You can make up any excuses to make it not as simple, but that's truly what it is. And you definitely might be different. You'll look at life different. You'll respond to things differently. You'll do life different, and you'll feel, this is a weird one, you'll feel life differently. Like there's almost something missing in life, but you don't know really. So it's going to be different. It's going to be tough, and it's going to be harder than it was before. That's what it is. That's what happens when you love somebody so much and they pass on. That's what happens. And whether you have faith or not, really, that's truly what you just have to do. Whether you have faith in a God or some mightier power, that's on just a worldly level, that's what you have to do. You have to keep going. And that's just is what it is. So I'm not going to say I'm okay. Actually, I am going to say that. I'm okay. I'm not great. I'm not amazing, but I am going to respond with hard work like he taught me. I'm going to respond with just a feel good, you got to keep being Spencer. And I want to read something for you guys because I know none of you guys were able to be at the funeral, obviously. I know it was recorded and posted somewhere online through the church. I didn't even know this church was so small and in such a small town that I didn't even know it had the technology to record that and like to stream it. But I did speak at my Uncle Ed's funeral, and I'm going to talk you through it. Hopefully I don't cry again like I did at the funeral, but I'm just going to read it like I did at the funeral, probably with less emotion. Hi, I'm Spencer Nolan. I'm Dana's youngest son, Ed's youngest nephew. I wasn't going to speak today. I was working on coming up with something to say and ended up just going back and forth. Should I not? I ended up deciding that I shouldn't. Maybe I couldn't. I'm not sure. At the funeral, I was bawling by this point. That's when I remembered the most important life lesson I've ever learned. This lesson comes from one of the most important men that's ever been in my life. My Uncle Ed taught me that Ramses do not quit. I'll repeat that for you. We do not quit. We don't give up when we start something. We finish what needs to be done. Now, I might not have the last name Ramsey. That was my mom's maiden name. When my mom got married, that's how I got Nolan. That's not in the speech. I just have to give you a little backstory. But he treated, taught, and coached me as if I was his own. And that's why I'm here speaking right now. Because we don't quit. He taught me how to fish, shoot, and make a darn good Bloody Mary. That one was that one was kind of funny because the pastor was sitting like right behind me when I was speaking. So I was like, sorry. But it's true. Now, if you're shooting with him, he would make sure you have your safety on. That's true. Uncle Ed taught the best gun safety in the entire world. It was incredible how professional and not strategic, but like he had so many rules for how dangerous guns can be, but he taught us how to use them very safely. And so I make sure to emphasize that. I got in trouble a few times with that one. Sometimes I wouldn't have my safety on, but he taught me. This is not technically the whole thing. I'm kind of ad-libbing, giving you guys extra details. One final thing that I picked up on was that it's okay to show emotions as a man. He would do a prayer, get a gift, or go through something difficult. During those times, he wouldn't be scared to let some tears fall. With everything he taught me to be a man, he wasn't scared to let the tear ducts open at the same time. To me, that's a man. You don't quit, and it's okay to cry. Am I going to cry? And that's the man I want to be. And so I spoke that at the funeral, and kind of the backstory behind that, which is pretty interesting to me, is I wasn't going to speak. I was writing it down, and I couldn't come up with anything. I truly could not come up with anything to say. I had so many stories, and I had so many memories, and I have so many life lessons learned, but with all the emotions that are going on in my head, I couldn't formulate it onto paper, or in this case, phone. And it was just it was a struggle. And my mom came up. My mom asked me. We were talking to the pastor, and my mom said, "Are you gonna speak?" And I was like, "No." And then she let it be. And then when we got back to the house after being at the church, she said, "You're not gonna speak at your Uncle Ed's funeral?" And I was like, "No, no." And I didn't really give her details on why or why not. So maybe if I did, she wouldn't have responded this way. But she responded, and I took this as a sign. Again, you have a choice to boil down and make it be sad and get in your shell when somebody says something tough, or you respond the right way. And she said, "Do you think that your Uncle Ed would speak at yours?" And that hit me pretty hard. And I was like, I know he would speak at mine. I know he would. And so it was almost like a sign to me. And now I could have been like, "Mom, why would you say that to me? I'm grieving, blah, 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 blah." But no. And so I did, and I spoke, and it was something I was very proud of. I hate public speaking, but I kind of like it when it works out. But the lead up to public speaking is an emotion that I don't really know how to comprehend. And I don't know if it's because I don't feel the emotion enough, but like this overwhelming nervousness of heart beating so fast, body shaking. It's almost like fear of embarrassment. You don't want to fail, but also it's like nervousness, and it all mixes into one. And I don't know. It's a lot, and luckily I was able to hold the podium, so I wasn't like shaking while I was standing still. And anyway, it ended up being great. It ended up being a great funeral service, and the day ended up being really good, for as good of a funeral day could be. Does that make sense? Like funeral is like when you sound like, "Oh yeah, the day that we had his funeral was really good." Like that's weird, but it was a really good celebration of life. Gave the family a lot of closure, and it kind of just, to me, it just gave me a lot of motivation to get back in life and really attack it full on. So, yeah, we're going to try to get off the whole Uncle Ed topic because I laid it out there. It is what it is. I've been posting a lot about it the last month, and I'm just ready to get back to normal in a sense. So we're going to answer some questions, maybe some, whatever. I don't even know what these are, but, just tips, just questions for anybody that have asked. I asked you guys to ask questions. Any tips on financial savings? Don't be a moron, first of all. And that's okay if you are. But financial savings is, in my opinion, almost a lifestyle. There's times where you can be like, okay, I'm going to work really hard for 2 years and then save for 2 years. And that way I could just keep living like that back and forth. That doesn't really work. It's almost like a 24/7 thing. And then within your 24/7 financial savings strategy that happens, you'll have a big purchase here and there, but luckily you'll be okay because you just have this financial savings installed in you. What I do is I live way below my means. So I know it sounds super simple, but technically if you're making, now I don't even know if this is allegedly because I don't have a license, and I don't think you are legally allowed to talk about or give advice on financial savings without having a license. So this is allegedly, I talk about this, and I'm not giving you advice. I'm telling you what I do. Okay. So I'll just say that. What I do is I live way below my means, and I structure things interestingly. I try to avoid what most people don't understand are small purchases are a killer. And let me give you an example. So there's 365 days in a year. If you spend $8 a day, so you get a coffee, "Oh, I just got my $6 coffee this morning, blah, 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 blah." Now, technically, if you want the coffee, that's great. But I'm just telling you what this is. If you spend $8 a day for 365 days, you would be spending $2,920. Do you guys think you could cut out $8 a day out of your spending? Do you think you could? Honestly, could you cut out $8 a day of spending? Because it would save you $3,000 a year. Here's a crazier one. Now, I don't know if a lot of you guys are spending $20 a day, but this is just for another example. If you save $20 a day that you don't spend, at the end of the year, you would have saved $7,300. Now, I know a lot of you guys aren't spending $20 a day, and a lot of these purchases, now this is a balance thing. You can't go full blown, lose your life. Obviously, you need to keep your human being. You need to keep your spirituality. You need to keep who you are. So if you need to buy certain things, buy them. I think life's too short not to spend your money. But at the same time, there's a balance to it. If you could save $8 a day, you could save $3,000. If you could save $20 a day, then you're going to save over $7,000 a year. So there's some financial advice. Small purchases hurt you bad, more than you think. And it's pretty easy, but I just want to let you guys know that one. Well, it's not easy, actually. That's a lie. I did not mean to say that. That was a flow state where my brain was barfing out bullshit. Okay? And I'm sorry about that. I'm picking this damn toenail, boy. It feels good. I like it. You ever get a nice nail and you rip it off completely? No hangnail, no nothing, completely even. Best advice for when you truly feel like nothing goes your way and dealing with anxiety. I moved to a whole new city back in April and still know nobody and fully alone and just struggling all around. So this is a really cool thing about your brain. You have no idea that nothing goes your way. You tell yourself that nothing goes your way. And there might be a few things that haven't gone your way, but your brain is emphasizing those. It's never like, you have to rewire your brain. You have to rewire your brain because if something good goes your way, you're probably like, oh, wow, finally something good went my way. Now you'll have weeks like that when maybe there'll be some bad things over and over. But overall, you have to rewire your brain as in the good things are supposed to happen. Like that's just what happens in life. I'm going to be blessed with good things because I wake up every day and I try my hardest. That's what happens. And that's how my brain is rewired. And it's a lot more, it's a lot better for you, honestly, because you can tell yourself, you could trick your brain into thinking that things are going your way or dealing with anxiety. It's like a mental game and it's really tough, trust me, because you're competing against your own brain and your brain's pretty powerful. But I would say stop bullying yourself. Things are going to go your way. Start rewiring it that way. Like things are bound to go my way. And when something doesn't go your way, don't even be shocked because you know that so many more things are going to go your way. And it sounds like a pretty shitty advice, like, oh, just rewire your brain. But that's truly it. You have to start because your brain goes off patterns. If you continue to beat yourself up and Debbie Downer, then your brain's going to continue to respond to certain situations like that. And as life gets tougher, here's another one for you. When life gets tough, you fall back on your deepest held habits. Okay? So if you have a really big habit of beating yourself up or talking down on yourself or always being in your own head, when you go through something really tough, that's not going to be good because then you're just going to bully yourself even more and you're going to be like, I deserve that, blah, 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 blah. No. You man up, baby. You man up. It is what it is. I'm going to get another win tomorrow. You got it. And about the whole thing about meeting people, that is tough. I will give you that. But I would say are you making an effort to meet people? Are you going out to places? Any places where there's lots of people, and I'm not necessarily saying bars, but you got to kind of get out of your own comfort zone. What I think it is when people don't meet people, it's because they don't want to get out of their own comfort zone. That's truly what it is. I know that's what it is because I've gone through phases of getting out of my comfort zone and the amount of people I met. And then I've gone in phases of being like just so comfortable and just being like, man, I don't have any friends. Why can't I make any friends? Because you're not uncomfortable. You got to get uncomfortable. And that goes back to being things are going to go your way if you get uncomfortable. It's a weird thing. It's so weird, but you're going to grow as a human through all of it. So just keep doing that. Any advice for meal prepping when you're super busy? Honestly, no. I suck at this so bad, and I am a fat mother trucker at heart. Like, I just love food so much. Like, I will eat so much food if I could. It's almost like I never get full, especially when I'm grieving something. I eat my feelings so bad. I put on 6 pounds in 2 weeks because of how much I ate. Now that I'm back in my routine, I'm back down to being normal, but normal weight for me. That's what I'm saying. Advice for meal prepping. Honestly, it's super boring, but I would say like if you could just scrounge like 3 hours on a Sunday or something, and meal prepping, honestly, you have to eat very boring. If you have a lot of time, you don't have to eat boring, but if you don't have a lot of time, you have to eat kind of boring. It's like, okay, I can make ground beef. That's super easy. I can throw chicken in a crock pot. That's super easy. I can throw eggs in a pan and make 10 of them at a time and then divvy them up and put cheese on them. Like, you have to eat boring, but you can eat healthy. And there's kind of a trade-off there. And I usually don't have a lot of time to meal prep, so I eat very boring. But you kind of get used to it. Best way to overcome the anxiety of doing things alone. Tell yourself, okay, so how about this? Being uncomfortable. No human likes to be uncomfortable, right? And this piggybacks off what I was saying last time. No human likes being uncomfortable. So what it is it's an unexplored emotion. It's an unexplored feeling. Go explore it. Go feel it. Go get used to it. Because you do not grow when you are comfortable. You don't. You have got to be uncomfortable. Think about it this way. The reason life has evolved so much is because life almost always has never been comfortable. There's no air conditioning. Half the time there was no running water. Humans grew as a civilization and as a race because they were constantly uncomfortable. So get uncomfortable, get out there, enjoy the feeling, embrace the feeling. That's going to sound weird. When you feel it, you're like, no. I was like, am I from Minnesota? No. Get excited. Feel it, baby. Oh, shout out Vikings. We won last night. Fuck the Bears. Just saying. If you're a Bears fan, I love you. I don't hate you. I just hate the Bears. Anyway. Let's see. How to get out of feeling stuck where you are at life. Okay, dude, the message for this podcast might just be you got to get uncomfy. You have got to get uncomfy. Dude, okay, here's this. Let me tell you my story a little bit where I got uncomfortable, okay? Let me tell you my story. I'm from a town of 2,000 people. I know everybody, everything. It's like one of the safest towns in Kansas. I'm super comfortable, man. I got my mom making my plate at the dinner table. I'm super comfortable. Now, I might have had a pretty 6, 7. I'm sorry. Might have had like a troubled childhood, but in high school, I got pretty comfortable. And then in college, I even got pretty comfortable. And I know college, I got a little uncomfortable, but I found comfortability in college. And once I found the end of that comfortability, I was like, I'm out of here. I'm done. Started making TikToks. You know how uncomfy that was? And that was before making TikToks was cool. I would say nowadays it's flipped in society where making TikToks, posting on social media is cool and it's not frowned upon anymore. But I started in like 2022. My first video was in 2021, but I didn't start taking it seriously until 2023. So I had 2 years of posting before I even started taking it seriously. But even in 2023, it was a whole shitstorm. TikTok's going to get banned, blah, 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 blah. It's uncomfortable. So I started doing that. That was making me uncomfortable. Putting my face on the internet for all my friends that I thought were my friends to judge me, for all my family to make fun of me while I'm still doing it. I would be made fun of by my family, by my friends. Guess what now? Look at me now. Look now. I got uncomfortable. When college, the place that I was living, got uncomfortable. I moved to Hawaii. I moved to Hawaii with $5,000 in my bank account, by the way. Guess what? Got uncomfortable. Packed 2 suitcases for that. It was super uncomfortable. I've lived in the same childhood room for 5 years. I moved to this house when I was in 8th grade. I lived in it 5 years. Had all this stuff. My mom, my friends, everything was around me. I moved to Hawaii with 2 suitcases, $5,000, and signed a lease that I had not even seen where I was living yet. Didn't know where I was living. Didn't know what it looked like. Didn't know my landlord. Didn't know nothing. I signed a piece of paper. Got on an airplane, a one-way, by the way, and I said, peace out. That's pretty uncomfortable. Now, where am I at since I moved to Hawaii? Where am I at since I got uncomfortable? I'm not saying move to Hawaii, make TikToks. I'm not saying that, okay? I'm not saying that. I'm saying that was my version of getting really uncomfortable. And then once I moved to Hawaii, that wasn't enough. I started to get comfortable there at the end of the year. So guess what I did? Started the business. Now I'm constantly uncomfortable. Let me tell you what. I am uncomfortable all of the time running this business. And I don't know if I'll ever be comfortable when you run a business, but I think that's the moral maybe of the podcast. The advice part of the podcast is you have to get uncomfortable. It's the weirdest thing ever, right? Feels good to lay in that warm bed. Feels good to rot on the couch. But then you look in the mirror and you say, I'm stuck. I'm stuck in my life. Feels good to eat out all the time. Feels good to just continuously go party and drink at the same bars. And then you get home. It's a quiet day. Maybe your roommate's not home. Maybe no one's around. Maybe your family's not home. And you just lay in bed scrolling TikTok and you're like, I'm uncomfortable. Or not, damn it, I messed that up. I didn't mean to say that. And you're like, ugh, I'm stuck in life. I just have no motivation. Hello? Get uncomfy, bitches. Get uncomfy, dude. And like, I'm not saying go streak down the street. If I went and streaked down the street, booty naked, I'd be uncomfy. That's not the that's not the uncomfortable I'm talking about. All right? If I tried to lick my elbow, I'd be uncomfortable. That's not the uncomfortable that I'm talking about. If I try to touch my toes, I'm going to be very uncomfortable. My hamstring, my left one to be exact, might snap. That's not what I'm talking about. Although being flexible is a very good trait to have in life. I'm not that yet, but I'm working on it. That's a complete lie. I'm not working on it. I'm not stretching one bit. I do like 2 toe touches and I'm out of there. Anyway, that is the point. Get uncomfy and pursue something, man. Be weird. Embrace cringe. Be weird. You know how many hate comments? You know how many people have just shit on me for so long? Like, truly. I have been shit on and made fun of so much. I know that's a fact, but I couldn't even really tell you what they are. I couldn't tell you. Because it, bing, bing, bing. I had a dream and I had a goal, and I'm still not even at that goal, but I know I'm on the right way. I know I'm on the right way. And so when you have a passion, you have a dream, you have a goal, dude, if it's real and you really feel it, then this whole, like, these words that are coming from the outside, and the most dangerous ones, the words that are coming from the inside, talking down on yourself, don't even matter. And it's not one day you wake up and, oh yeah, nothing affects me anymore. I'm just going to chase my dreams the entire way. And that's not how it works at all. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I have imposter syndrome. Nobody tells me I have imposter syndrome. I'm telling myself I have imposter syndrome. So my own brain still works against me. But here I am, showing up with 2 canker sores, 1 right hand. But anyway, that's the point of the podcast. And I know you guys are looking at my Minnesota Vikings jersey right now. This actually isn't a jersey. It's a little hoodie. I actually don't know if I've ever wore this before. It has Justin Jefferson's jersey or number on the back. Pretty sick. Anyway, we freaking won last night. We're 1-0. Oh, my gosh, guys. Oh, my gosh. This is going to be so funny. Hold on. So I went to it last year, but I go to a Vikings game, starting the tradition every year. Last year I went to the Minnesota Falcons game. So the Vikings Falcons game last year went with Reed. We're doing it again because they play each other again. So it's the Vikings Falcons. It's coming up this week. And we Reed's my best friend, but the rivalry is growing weekly, daily, hourly, monthly, minutely. It's hate week. It's Falcons hate week. I fucking hate the Falcons. I hate them. And would I hate them if my best friend didn't like him as much? Probably not. But I do not like them because he likes them. And we're going up there this weekend. We're staying at Mystic Lake Casino. Oh my gosh. Maybe my favorite place on earth. Truly. Mystic Lake Casino. And this is insane. What a shout out I'm giving them. But might be my favorite place on earth. We stayed there last year. We're staying there again this year because it's just awesome. It's a casino. It's football. It's a casino that doesn't smell like cigarettes, which is a big thing for me. I cannot stand smelling like cigarette smoke. It's just the food, the environment, so many Vikings fans. It's just unreal. Unreal. And I love every minute of it. And so I'm very excited. I'm very excited to go. I'm very excited to do this. I got a jersey that I'm going to wear. It's Harrison Smith's. Pretty excited about that. Brooke's birthday. You guys will probably see this after Brooke's birthday happens, but Brooke's birthday comes out. Brooke's birthday comes out tomorrow. So she is turning 23. Old cougar. She's a beast, and I love her, and she's 23 years old, and that makes me younger now. Technically, I'm always younger, but her birthday's in September. My birthday's in October. She has a month on me. And that's just, I think I like it because in my heart, I know I'm older. That's not true, actually. Brooke responds to different situations better than me, and then I respond to different situations better than her, if that makes sense. Which is actually probably how it's supposed to be, right? You have the girl and the guy that respond to different things. So that way when they come together, it's like, well, at least one person out of our couple can respond the right way. Yeah, one day I have this Apple Pencil, and I don't know. I don't think I've ever used it. And it was given to me it was like in a brand deal or something. And so I'm going to just throw it. It's light enough that no one would even notice. I'm just going to throw it in a Spency package. Speaking of Spency, I guess I should give you guys some updates about where we're at and kind of what we're doing with that. Because obviously we got put back 2 weeks. I have employees, but they don't know how to do, and they can't do some of the stuff that I do for Spency. I'm the only one that has access to it. I'm the only one that knows how to do it. So I didn't get to do that for 2 weeks. And so it put us back a little bit, but we should be able to have our next drop. We are hoping at the end of September. It's probably going to be more likely the middle of October, but we're also going to try to have a drop at the end of October. Does that make sense? So we're trying to have one. They're like almost going to be back-to-back drops, beginning or middle of October, end of October. That is our goal. Will it happen? I hope so. And I think you guys are going to be really happy about what we have coming. We have a pretty big collab coming. It's Brooke's collection. Brooke's getting her own collection in Spency, which is pretty cool. So that means she has full design, full everything. She has full control over the design, the way it looks, how everything looks. All her. And I'm pretty excited. I think she's doing a great job. It's really cool seeing her work really hard on the back end. And not saying that she doesn't work hard, but saying how much harder she is working now that it's her collection and she really cares about what she's making. It's really cool. So that drop will be probably in the middle of October. And I think it's going to be pretty exciting. We're dropping a few items we've never dropped before, which again, to me, is freaking sweet. And then we are going to have our next drop hopefully right after that. And that'll be back to me working on it. And I'm very excited for that as well because I think it will be really good. Really, really, really good. Is that everything I got? I hope you guys have a great week. I want to start getting some people on this podcast. Obviously, I feel like I say that all the time, but most of the time we only have solo podcasts, and obviously you love the podcast with Brooke. I want to start getting other people on the podcast. Who do you guys want to see on the podcast? Who do you guys want to see on the podcast? Maybe if you tag them enough or something, I can make it happen. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Some people are stiffy on wanting to go on a podcast. And then also, I know this podcast isn't really big and it kind of takes some time and stuff like that. So I don't know if they'd even come on, but it would be pretty cool if we did it. So let me know. Let me know who you want to have on the podcast. And yeah, I love you guys so much. I hope you guys have a great week. Skol Vikes. Shout out Spency. If you guys want to get some towels, don't be afraid to go get some towels, ladies and gents. Love you. I'm going to go treat these freaking canker sores.